we all just spent the day working on the material. And he rigged it for sound, and he shot it like a real show. And, every sort of combination possible, and the bet, whatever he wanted the most would win. And it was crazy, because by the end of the day, people started to sort of unravel a little bit. People would be like, hey man, you read Rick with that Shane. Am I a better Shane than that guy? Just, people were starting to lose their minds a little bit. And, you gotta sort of stay above the bullshit. But it was crazy, because on that day, Frank came up to me and he said, do you see yourself more as a Rick or a Shane? I was like, dude, definitely Shane, there's no way. And that day he cast just Shane, but he couldn't find a Rick. So then for the next few months, we just sort of did the same thing. Guys would come in and audition for Rick in Frank's garage in his car doing that scene, and I would just play Shane with all these different Ricks. And once Andy Lincoln came in, it was just an absolute done deal. Like as soon as he started, I said, oh, okay, and it's crazy, really. Actors I have tons of respect. It was crazy being on the other side of things, because actors I had tons of respect for, very famous, awesome actors, would come in and really be very, very nervous, and that's what happens when you want something. And you got to get over that. Kind of like how you just busted out that rhyme in front of all these people with no, it's not about getting in the door. It's about what you got to do when you get in there. So anyhow, that's it.
And I don't know. I mean, I want to at least ask you one thing. Like, there were a lot of people. I do a podcast on this show, and people always wrote in, and they're like, "Shane is totally right," and other people are like, "He's so divisive." Do you get people coming up to you and saying, "I totally support you," or "Why did you do that?" Stuff like that, or Shane,
Well, I think for I haven't been on that show for like a long time, but the funny thing about that is when before the show started, when we'd done season 1, we went to New York Comic-Con, and the show hadn't even come out yet, and all the actors were up on stage just like this, and everybody introduced themselves. Andrew Lincoln and Sarah Wayne Callies and Norm and everybody. And everybody was cheering and shit, stuff. I'm sorry, I cursed a lot. I'm gonna try not to curse too much. But then it got to me, and I said, hi, I'm Jon Bernthal, I play Shane. And the New York audience was like, boo! I was like, oh, good God. I had no idea, from the comic book, how many people hated the guy. But the craziest thing is, so after season 1, it seemed like everybody kind of hated Shane. And the weird thing is after season 2, people started to dig him. But when you think about it, all the bad shit I did was in season 2. And it's very twisted that people got behind, like, hey, I loved it when you shot Otis. And I loved it when, the worse shit I did, the more people seem to dig the character, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, but yeah,
I can see why people might say, hey, in this world, you need to be ruthless like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, as far as Shane's concerned, it was a real honor to play him, and I think it's a huge mistake with characters to play him as good guys or bad guys. You got to love the guy, and you got to believe in what he's trying to do. And I very much believed in what Shane was trying to do. And what I loved about the characters, I think he was sort of the first one to figure out that new world, I think he was the first one to sort of figure out what the lawlessness and the way that you need to be in the zombie apocalypse. I think that it started with that scene with Ed by the water. Laurie's like, stay the heck away from me and my kid. And then next thing you know, he sees Ed beating on his lady, so he goes and he starts beating on Ed. And then he's like, you know what, this feels pretty fucking good. I'm gonna keep on doing this. And he realizes that in this world, there's no police, there's no law. If you want to whoop on a dude, you whoop on a dude. And then I think you take it a step further when he's in the woods with a gun and he trains his gun on Rick. He realizes, in this world you actually can just take somebody out. There's no rules. And I think slowly but surely he realizes that this kind of attitude is essential for survival in that kind of world. And he was sort of the first character to live by those rules, and I think he really wanted to instill those rules on his buddy Rick, because he feels like it's sort of essential to survive. That's like the longest douche.
Have you been watching Rick on there now? And
Say what?
been watching? Are you
Walking
caught
Dead.
up? Are you caught up? Yeah.
Hell's yeah, dude. Yeah, I love Walking Dead. I mean, that's the cool shit. It's like, you know, they kill your ass off, and they're like, you know, pack up your shit. I do very much think that, you know, when I took on the part, I knew I was very lucky. You know, a lot of everybody else on the show, you get hired, and then every week you open up a script and you don't know whether it's going to be your last one. And that's kind of that's a rough way to do it as an actor. I got really lucky because I knew right from the beginning that I was going to have a beginning, middle, and end, and I could sort of plot my course, and I knew I was going to have to sort of unravel and get to this point. And that was great for me because I knew it was coming. I could plan on it. I could. Anyhow, the answer to your question is, I think very much by the time Shane went, I think he had to go, and I think he knew he had to go, and I think that, you know, I've talked about it before. You know, I wanted the ending to be a little bit, just a tad different, but I do really feel like Shane brought Rick out into the woods, so Rick would take the step that he needed to take in order to be man enough to raise Shane's baby, and that is to kill Shane. That's always how I looked at it. You know, I looked at it that like Shane knew he had to go, and he knew he couldn't live like this anymore. But Rick needed to learn. And if you look at it, you know, I think Rick's a bad MFer now. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know. That's my take on it. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. You know, I don't think he was. I think he did become somewhat cancerous for that group though, you know, and he was starting to do some pretty awful shit, you know. But nowadays it looks like there's like tons of bad guys. You know, it's like everywhere they look, there's like a bad guy, you know. So yeah, right.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm from Norwood. And
Is everybody from Norwood? Everybody. It's just some suburban town, but everybody's from there.
yeah.
Everyone's like.
And my question is, do you think if Shane was still alive, do you think he would have butted heads with the governor?
Yeah, I think he would have killed the guy. I mean, I think he would have stood for, you know, I think he would have, you know, tried to deal with it immediately, you know, like I think that was his attitude. Like when you have a problem, you know, attack it immediately, cut it out, you know. I think that was probably his attitude. The same way that he dealt with the prisoner, you know, I think it's the same kind of thing, you know. And we just gotta kill him, you know. I think.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. Steve and Andy, you know, like the scripts have never been better. So I mean, I think they're in really good shape. Thanks. Cool.
What was it? I'd like to hear more about why you wanted to have Shane kill a live person.
Why I wanted to?
Yeah.
I thought that, again, as he becomes more and more of a creature of the new world, I wanted him to sort of take that step, and I wanted him to do it for Carl. I wanted him to show that he absolutely, there's nothing, he believed that once you're in the zombie apocalypse, all rules go out the table. There's no such thing as being a good person. There's no such thing as trying to do the right thing. Morality goes out the table. Morality becomes ridiculous in that world, and that's a complete sort of, that's completely antithetical to where Rick Grimes was at the time. He was trying to grasp onto some sense of morality, some sense of, you know, let's have dignity, and Shane was like, that is such bullshit, dude. You gotta survive, man. Like, what are you talking about? So I wanted him to take the ultimate step, and I wanted him. You know, the greatest thing about the show from the beginning, I think what Frank was trying to do is he's trying to ask the audience. It wasn't just a show about like smashing zombies and killing people. It was that, but the show's really about, you know, when you scrape off the veneer of everyday life and all the shit that keeps us comfortable and keeps us kind of relaxed and numb and not watching our backs every second. Like, what happens to you when you take all that away and any day really could be your last? How do you react then? Like when you stop being polite and like, I gotta live, you gotta live, what's gonna happen, dude? You know, like, and that makes you ask questions. And I think the best, you know, it's a zombie show, but it makes you ask questions, you know, and I think that's pretty dope. Oh, please, dude. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know if that answers it, but
Yes, thank you.
How's it going?
hey, what's up, man? What's up?
My name is Orlando from Connecticut. All right. What was my question? So what do you think is for the crew that they're stuck in that container right now at the end of this season? We all know they're gonna escape somehow. How do you think it's gonna happen? Like, what do you think is the?
Dude, I have no idea, man.
How do you think? What do you think? Yeah.
Who's in that container with them?
Oh, bro, you got Rick,
Rick, Glenn,
Daryl,
Abraham.
Maggie,
Daryl.
No Carol.
Daryl.
At least Carol are not there. Everybody else is.
I thought you were keeping up. I thought you were keeping up.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's like 3 years between seasons, man. I don't know, man. You know, maybe, I don't know, maybe feed one of them to everybody and then like all die like horrible diarrhea or some shit like that. You know, like, I don't know, like I don't know. I really don't know, man. I mean, that's, you know, I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. And if they tell me, I'm going to be really pissed. I swear when I see, first thing I said to Steven, I was like, dude, don't tell me anything. Just don't tell me anything. I don't want to know, you know?
Cool.
I can't.
Thanks.
Sorry, that's not an answer.
There must be a certain amount of pride I imagine Shane would have to see Rick finally kind of doing what he needs to do to take care of things now, to see his whole arc and his progression.
I mean, look, I'm not Shane, I'm Jon, you know, so like, but I think if Shane, you know, but I mean, I think, I saw a lot of, I'm blown away, I've always been blown away by Andrew Lincoln. I think he's one of the best actors I've ever worked with in my life. And the thing about Andy, equal parts, and I mean, a lot of actors say this kind of shit, and they're lying, but I'm not. Andy's equal parts good person as he is an incredible actor. In fact, he's actually a better person than he is an actor, if you can believe it. He's as good a guy as you can possibly have to run a set and be that #1 on the call sheet, and that guy. His work ethic, his heart. He takes his work unbelievably seriously, but he still has time for everybody. He's just he's something else.